News.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you. What is happening?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh my god, it's like my three favorite men. All at once.
Let me get you
The
first.
men here.
The men.
We don't have the boys.
The
We're going
monster
to
men
answer
too,
questions
yeah.
like the men do.
Okay, so I'll jump off. Harry, I spoke with Michael earlier this year, after the season ended. Michael Reese.
Okay.
About Malik and sort of writing that episode. And while it didn't make it into the interview, he mentioned it being really important that Magnus be shown as this independent character who wasn't just sort of a spellback.
Yes.
Are we going to get to see more of Magnus sort of coming out, more of his backstory, his other relationships? Is he going to fall in line? Is he going to feel like he's part of the group instead of sort of the outsider?
Yeah, I think, this first season, kind of played into a lot of the chase. And you see a lot of the chase, and there's a lot of things alluded to what happened behind the scenes, or like off screen, I guess. And this season, particularly, we're definitely getting to know more about Magnus's past and why he is the way he is. I think that's an important aspect of why he's kind of functioned the way he has for over centuries. The things that really, truly pivotal moments that really affected him. I think he voices it, and also through relationships. And you get to see a lot of Magnus with interacting with Simon as well, which is, I think, really fun.
I'm excited.
And even the elements of Raphael and the relationship between Magnus and Raphael and going back to Camille. So there's a lot that we're going to explore, and I'm really excited for people to see like what Magnus is about outside of the character that we've kind of known him to, whether it be certain parts of the books or whether it be just from seeing the first season. So, yeah.
I think that Shadowhunters does a great job of making every character well-rounded. Like, we get an idea of who everybody is, and there's not really, even though it's focused in its Clary's story, I feel like we really get to connect. And how was that for you guys to be able to really dive into your character?
I think that's what this season's really about. The second season, we're going into each character in depth. We're learning, so we learn a lot about Magnus. We get to see Luke in a new way. We get to learn a lot about Luke, how he is, who he is, how he became who he is, and then it's very cool that we really get to learn about these people in a new way.
That was very important for the writers and for us, I think, to really have that.
Does anybody else want to dive in?
So Isaiah, you mentioned in the panel that we're going to get a little more Lucilim.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
you'll definitely get that.
Okay, so they've had this relationship.
Yes.
Are we going to get more of the flashbacks of who they were? And then going forward, you mentioned tension.
Well,
so I just assumed it was going to be lovey-dovey, but you suggested otherwise.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of changes. Definitely, you're definitely going to see some flashbacks. I can tell you that for a fact. I just finished shooting one, so you get into a little bit of Luke's early history in New York City, but the relationship, like I said in the other panel, all relationships have ups and downs, and have peaks and valleys, whatnot. You're definitely going to see Luke and Jocelyn go through some ish. Like they but it's Clary's at the middle of it. It's basically like two parents talking about how they're raising this child in this shadow world. So I mean, I don't want to say like Luke is a full-on parent, but he is. So you're going to see where they can kind of conflict and where they agree on things.
Did you guys have any freedom to kind of bring something new to the character yourselves, like almost like an improv thing?
I know with Simon, they sometimes, only sometimes if we have time, they'll let me have a take where they say, you have the freedom here.
Okay.
For the first time, I got that a couple of nights ago with Maya, shooting for one of our scenes in Simon's van, where they were like, you guys take this one and run, because we got what we need now. So we get some improvisation there. Okay. As far as the way the characters are being built, it's collaborative to an extent. They come to you, they say, hey, this is what we want, this is what we're looking at, this is what we're doing, and then naturally, because Simon is mine, I get to be like, yeah, I totally agree. I don't know if that path is the best. I think I agree, but maybe we can take, instead of going directly this way, just like this way.
So they allow you creative input.
It's a conversation. It's a conversation, and they definitely listen, which is really cool.
You're allowed to have the conversation. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas I think on some shows that may not be the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are taking it from a book, but I feel like you guys are definitely going a different route than the book.
Yeah, because it has to feel natural. I mean, there's certain things that things from the book that are put into the scene might not completely fit, and we don't want it to look like we're just trying to force it in. So there has to be like an organic feel to what that situation is and how it would play out with the certain characters.
Yeah. Definitely.
What was your favorite thing to film so far, season 1?
Wow.
Season one or
Season
two?
one?
As of
Or
yet.
so far in season
Or as
two?
of yet? As of yet.
I'd have to say the scene that I just filmed with Maya recently was probably one of the most touching and more like whoa scenes that I've filmed with Shadowhunters. It was really deep. It was really deep.
And then after that, you get to know a lot of the history.
Yeah, you know all that.
For me, we've gotten to have like a lot of emotional scenes and humorous kind of like scenes, but for me was when the anger of Magnus there's a scene where you get to see the angry side of him and what he's capable of with his magic, and I think that was really fun to shoot because it's a totally different side, and I got to bring out a different element than just vulnerability, or it was more of like this. Don't mess with Magnus, and I
like that.
It's really nice to see that.
I like that.
For me, it's anytime Simon starts to try to own the small vampire traits that he now has. One, because a lot of that sometimes entails like a wire work or some sort of stunt, but also it's because it's that that growing confidence. It's like, oh, I can do this now. Can I do this? And I like playing with that. Where can I push Simon? How far does he want to go right now?
I think I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Can I think he's just doing like an incredible job with that character. Like every time I see him,
I agree.
In a scene with him, he's taking that character not in like a typical way of like, oh, what a vampire would do, but I think he owns it, and it's always so enjoyable because it comes from such a grounded place. So it's really good.
Fans are
So
really
fun.
defensive of your acting.
Yeah, I would
If
say
anybody
fan
talks
favorite.
smack, like they just come in waves like, no, not Alberto.
As they should.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, that's all the time we have.
Thank you guys. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Pleasure, yeah.
Take care, okay? Good luck with the show and everything.
Thank you.
It's great.